But I get here early just to check, make sure everything's okay.
Yes, all is good.
Let's see. I'll just.
I will attend the whole meeting.
Okay.
Thankfully, thankfully the other meeting was cancelled.
Okay. Right. Hi there. Is that Sharon?
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. It is now.
Is that okay? So we're all set there?
Yes, all is set.
Brilliant.
And the meeting is recording because many people are asking for a recording.
Okay.
Would you like to stop people from chatting?
Sorry, say that again?
Yeah, would you like to disable the chat box and just keep the Q&A in order not to be confused?
No, I think if we keep the chat and then ask people to ask questions in the Q&A, but if people want to introduce each other, I'll ask people to sort of, if they want to introduce each other, they can use the chat to do that.
Happy to do it.
Great. How many have we got signed up?
Almost 47.
All right, that's good.
Even till the last moment now, people are participating.
I can't hear you, Stuart.
Can you hear me now? Let's just take
Yeah.
my headphones up. Yeah, just sorting my headphones out.
Brilliant. Does that slide look okay?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I've never used Teams in this way before, so but it's almost exactly like Zoom, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. I'm just checking that. Can I actually move forward here? Yes. Okay. So I can. Yeah. Did that change for you?
No, it didn't.
Okay. So it's gone for me. So if I sync to presenter, does that change?
No.
Sure.
I've still got it on slide 1.
Yeah, the same as Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Well, Adam.
Hello, how are you all doing?
Good.
So are you able to navigate forward, Stuart?
It doesn't look like it on yours.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to just give us a shout when we, yeah. Morning, everybody. Morning, everybody. We've got nearly 50 people attending today, so we will start promptly, but we also got to get people in the room as well. So give us a minute or two.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I see that a recording. Allowed to
Yeah.
do.
Sorry,
Are we allowed to record this?
it's been recorded, and the details, the presentation will be circulated afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. How are we doing, Nermeen?
All is good. It's now in full screen.
Okay, should we get started then?
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name's Keith Jeffrey from Breakthrough Coaching and Consulting. I'm working with East Midlands Creative Consortium on this event today, and there's a very exciting opportunity here. Create Growth competition. It's a ring-fenced opportunity for creative businesses in the East Midlands to make a bid for investment which builds their ability to grow. You can get this, so this is an offer to bid for between 10 and 30k to grow your business, but it's a complex process. It requires you to have some clear thinking on your business, but also creative industries. So if you could just make sure everybody's, if you're on mute, that would be very helpful. We will be, there's a question and answer session at the end. So if you want to, you can ask questions during the session. If you want to introduce yourselves on the chat, that would be very good, very helpful. I know some of you were at a session yesterday, but for those of you who weren't, we're going to give an overview of the competition, but then go into some depth about what the application consists of, so you can begin to think about putting everything in place before you go online and to start inputting your applications, because there's a specific platform that is being used here to take the applications. So this morning we've got Stuart Smith from Leicester and Leicestershire Economic Partnership and Adam Buss from Culture Derby to help set the scene and clarify any questions you have. So, Stuart.
Good morning all. I'll just mute you a second, Keith, so I don't get the echo. Okay. So, good morning all. I'm Stuart Smith from Leicester and Leicestershire Enterprise Partnership, known as the LEP. We're the lead organisation for the East Midlands Create Growth bid, which covers Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Lincolnshire, Rutland. Nottinghamshire decided not to join the bid. Also joined by Adam Buss today, who some of you will know. Adam's from the Culture Derby and part of the main steering group for the programme. So we're here today to talk specifically about the Innovate UK funding competition, which is available to all Create Growth regions.
Hang on, slow down. So you're in Managed WP. Where do you go to?
Like, we just mute background there. Okay. So we're talking about the Innovate UK funding competition today, which is available to all successful Create Growth regions, including the East Midlands. There's 6 across the country, so it's not available nationwide, just the 6 regions, and Keith will talk in more detail about this. So the slide there that Keith's brought up, the main activity of the Create Growth programme over the next 2 years will actually be a business support programme, which will have several cohorts, and we'll open applications for that on Monday. We've got a website ready to go. However, today is just about the Innovate UK funding competition, which is separate to the business support programme. So you can do either, or you can do both, or you can do none. So there has been some confusion about this. You're not committing to the business support programme if you go for the competition. If you go for the competition, you can come on the programme. So I know as Innovate UK announced this, it did cause some confusion, but that's today. Okay, next one, please, Keith. So Innovate UK have allocated £7 million for the 2 funding competitions across the 6 regions. First competition's open now, deadline of early Feb, which Keith will talk more about. There's no exact amount ring fence for the East Midlands, but Innovate UK have promised some level of balance across both geography and sectors. There's a second competition in autumn, but we're not going to talk about that today. It's going to be different. It's not a repeat of this. It'll have a different focus. We don't know all the details yet. So again, to reiterate, today it's just about this current competition. And then, Adam, would you like to say anything about additional support?
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. And before I kind of go on to that, I just want to say this is this is a really great opportunity. The slide behind me is some stats that were put together in 2019 by the Creative Industries Council, which showed the growth at the time of the creative industries, and now we're even past that in terms of the billions, and actually we are still one of the fastest growing sectors in the UK. So, you know, big pat on the back for all of you right now at the beginning of the meeting. And one of the things I've been passionate about for a number of years, and all of us in the consortium have been, is that actually the East Midlands is one of those areas that potentially has been overlooked slightly in terms of creative industries funding in the past. So this is an opportunity for us to really put ourselves on the map. And we're seeing this as a starting point rather than an end point. So this is some funding we've secured right now, and the Innovate UK funding is separate to that as well, which only we can access with the other consortium around the country. But we're hoping that this is the starting point for other funds coming into the region that you'll be able to access. So thank you for attending today. You are going to get a lot of information about this particular call. But what we're also doing is we're going to be offering some one-to-one support, and we want to work with a range of people across this programme, and two other brilliant people who some of you may have come into contact with in the past. Philomena Rodriguez and Ellen O'Hara will be running one-to-one sessions for businesses post this session on the 30th and the 1st of January, 30th of January and the 1st of February. Those will be on a case-by-case basis in terms of, you know, first come, first serve, because obviously there's a limited amount of time for those. But that'll give people that aren't necessarily comfortable in this forum mentioning things about stuff like IP and bits of projects that they don't necessarily want to ask a question about because they don't want to do it in a public forum. Potentially you can do that in a one-to-one. So we'll give information to everyone who's attended this meeting and others about those one-to-ones post this session, and hopefully you can attend those. But yeah, thank you for coming, and hopefully we'll see lots more of you in the future as the programme starts to roll out.
Thank you, Adam. Okay, it's over to you, Keith. Thank you.
Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so hopefully that sort of set the scene. This is a programme which recognises the scale and impact of the creative industries in the UK, but the East Midlands is underinvested in. The Innovate UK and tend to get fewer applications from this area than from other areas. So hopefully this fund's going to stimulate some activity and some thinking about that, and start to increase the amount of investment that's going into the East Midlands. So this is a DCMS supported programme being delivered by Innovate UK, and the regions covered by the programme are Greater Manchester, East Anglia, North East, West of England, South East, and the East Midlands. And when we say the East Midlands, we mean Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Lincolnshire and Rutland, not Nottinghamshire, which for reasons I'm not aware of, they did not get involved with this. So, and if you are in Nottinghamshire or Nottingham, obviously, then you are not able to apply to this. So this is ring-fenced funding for those areas. That's why it's such an exciting opportunity. It's as Stuart was just saying, it's this is separate from the local business support programme. Innovate UK are going to be holding 2 funding competitions for creative businesses from successful regions. The second one will be later in the year. We're not going to talk about that because we don't know what the details are yet. But for this is the first competition. It will award between 10 and 30k to a successful application, and the total funding available is £3 million across all those regions. So whether they decide to award all of that or not in this round, we don't know. If they did, that sort of suggests of the order of about 150 awards. From the wider Create Growth Support Programme, so it's very different. It's again, it's about demonstrating how they can a successful award, a successful innovation is going to support the wider sector in East Midlands. So it's very much a strategic intervention. This is about recognising that the East Midlands is not as strong as it might be in the creative sector. There's lots of great stuff, lots of great activity, but we want more of that activity, and we want that activity to grow and have impact. So there is going to be bespoke business support. There is additional to this, Innovate KTN and Innovate UK are working on building investor capacity and further specific targeted finance. Go on the Innovate UK website and that will maybe help with that. I've got a hand raised. Is that a question or?
Yeah, it's just a question. Is that okay?
If we could keep the questions to the end, is it something that's stopping you understanding what's happening now?
No, but there's no point me listening to it if it's not going to be relevant. It's just, can it be a new business or does it have to be an established business?
It has to be a registered business.
Right, it's registered. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, so the basic information is, so this funding's help creative businesses explore new innovation projects as a stimulus for growth. The deadline is 11 AM on February the 8th, so apply early as possible to avoid any glitches. Decisions are going to be announced late March. Eligibility, which coming on to, is that the applicant must be from the creative industries. You must be a micro, small or medium enterprise registered in Derbyshire, Lincolnshire, Leicester and Rutland. You must have identified a clear growth opportunity in the innovation which is going to address that. So you've identified a market opportunity, a customer segment, and this thing that you want to create will successfully address that. So then be clear about what difference that's going to make to the growth of your business. I will be defining what the creative business is like. So we'll be, sorry, I should have said, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. And rather than in the chat, because it's because I think a lot of the questions that have already come up we're going to be addressing. So and you know, if you are expected to engage with that regional support if you are successful. So what are we looking for out from this bid? So it needs to be innovative and ambitious, linked to a clear market opportunity. It has to be new to your business. It must have a demonstrable impact on your growth plan, i.e. something which is going to create a new revenue stream, such as creation of a new IP beyond what you ordinarily do. Business as usual is not going to get funded here. You need to be able to demonstrate a route to commercialization quickly, with a clear plan for attracting additional private financial investment if that's required. This is about stimulating growth in your business. It's about helping you move up to a new level of business. We want to see how that will benefit the wider cluster or region. That's about that. So that could be thinking about, okay, we're going to develop new relationships with partners locally. We are going to be employing more people. We are going to be helping raise the profile of the sector. That's quite vague at the minute, but I think as you work through what your project is and what your idea is, thinking about that wider impact is going to be important. So, and it's got to be value for money, and it's got to start quickly. This is like, you know, if you've got a great idea which you can't launch for about 3 years, that's not going to fly. So a successful bid will be a total funding request between 10 and 30k. It must start by June the 1st. It must end by December the 31st. Carry out all its work in the UK, and you must intend to exploit the results from or in the UK. So the benefit, so if you have an international opportunity, that's great, that could be fundable, but you must be registered in this country. The benefits need to be, because this is UK government funding, they want to see the benefits accrue to the UK as a result of that. So your eligibility. You must be registered in the region. You must be a micro, small or medium-sized enterprise. And what that means is sole traders are not eligible for this. But if you are a registered business with turnover of up to £36 million, with up to 250 staff, or a balance sheet of £18 million, that's what the definition of a micro, small, or medium enterprise is. You must not currently be in receipt of public funding for business growth, and that's quite a specific reference there. You can be in receipt of public funding, for example, if you are running an Arts Council funded project, as long as that is not targeted on business growth. They are not, if you are already receiving government funding from public for growth, then you will not be able to be eligible for this. You must demonstrate ambition for growth. This is it's really important, because you need to have the plan, you need to demonstrate the commitment, it needs to be a great idea, which is really going to make a difference for you. And obviously got to be from the creative industries or subsectors. And these are the definitions. There's a list there. If you are at all uncertain about what, if you are a creative business, you can check your SIC code on Companies House. Okay, I'm just going to take a pause there, and there are some questions coming up. The copies of the slides will be sent out. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, we're doing quite well for time, actually, so we might finish early with a bit of luck. Okay, this is important. As you are developing your idea, as I said, business as usual is not fundable. So, for example, if you are a film company and you want to finance your next film, that might be perceived as being business as usual. If you are not, if you have an idea for a plan, which is for a film that is somehow demonstrating greater growth and greater opportunity for you and takes you into a new space, that might be. Think about your idea as being more than what you are able to do as a result of than you are now. So you need this investment to give you that step up. It needs to have innovation in there. An application without innovation is not going to be successful. And you need to have some evidence that the innovation will lead to growth. So this idea that you've got, have you tested it? Have you to feel that whatever you're going to do is going to be successful? If you are currently in receipt of funding for business growth, you will be ineligible. You need to talk about how your negative outcomes are going to be managed. For example, environmental damage. I don't know, if you are going to create a new facility, for example, then you will be able to, then you need to explain what any negative impacts that might accrue from that will be dealt with. Then there's something about, there's a lot of emphasis in the application form about de minimis regulations, or you are not able to receive minimal financial assistance. We will talk about that in a bit more detail, but broadly, have you had more than £315,000 over the last 3 years investment into your business from the public? This is an Innovate UK managed project, so if you've got an outstanding Innovate UK project at any stage of development, you can't reply. I can't apply. Hang on. Somebody is in charge of my slides. Right. Okay, hang on. Sorry about this. Something's happened with my slides there, which
just whilst you're doing that, Keith, I'll just jump in on. Just want to mute yourself whilst you're doing that. I'll just ask some of the questions that have come in the chat. So there's a question about how is IT a creative business? I mean, ultimately, the answer to that is that DCMS define the creative industries business sectors. So it's kind of we could question some or none or all of those, but unfortunately, it's not up to us. It's DCMS that define that, and they will only fund people that they define as a creative business. So if you're on that list, then you're in. If you're not, then you're not. That's as simple as that, unfortunately. In terms of testing, it's a fair point about, you know, if it's new, how could it be completely tested? But that's again, it's kind of general, I guess, from BIS and DCMS and other government departments, is language that they use generally, which means that you've done some level of testing to know that this is a viable product. So rather than saying, you know, I'm going to be launching something which is something I dreamt about last night and this is what I want to fund, you describe it in a way that you say, well, actually, I've looked at the marketplace, I've looked at what things have worked previously, I've looked at how I can develop my business, and I've tested those things on paper, and I recognise that this is an opportunity going forward. So it's not that you have to have a complete absolute kind of minute by minute testing process that's gone through like you would for something like a video game, etc. It's not that you have to go that far, but you do need to show some level of rigor around how the idea has been developed. Yeah, and the slides are back up now, so I shall quit the field and pass back over to Keith.
All right, thank you. Yeah, just that quick question about, hopefully this slide will answer the question for more there, which is that if you have an outstanding Innovate UK project at any stage of development, you cannot apply. So if that application is still in play and hasn't been completed, then you can't apply. If you did get an Innovate UK award, you can apply, but if you were felt by Innovate not to make a substantial effort to exploit that award or fail to comply with terms and conditions, that you won't be eligible. Or if this is an idea you've already submitted but was turned down in the past by Innovate UK, unless you responded to that those comments, criticisms, and the feedback, which so you update it and it feels clearly new and different, you won't be able to apply. Explanation of de minimis and minimum financial is this. This always confuses me, especially when Latin is brought into it. It can be quite confusing. But minimum financial assistance is defined as public bodies giving you up to £315,000 in a 3-year rolling period. You're going to need to sign a declaration which confirms you meet this criteria. So if you are in any sort of doubt about this, take some independent legal advice. If it is not connected to growth, it should be, and you are below that level, you should be fine. Due diligence checks will be carried out in the financial health of your organisation. Assurances might be sought about the organisation, leadership team, persons of significant control, which might come out of that. So they really need to check that you are a real business, locally present and active, and that you are not, an offshoot of Sony or some major company. So it's really, we want to be really clear that the money goes right into the grassroots of the creative sector. If you are successful, it's 100% grant. It's going to be released in 2 installments. You get the first award when you sign your grant offer letter, which can be in advance of the project's start date. Project on receipt and approval of a statement expenditure. They are very keen to promote equality and diversity. They were going to be everybody who's involved with this is going to be required to fill out a form to sort of give to help them understand to make sure that they are meeting their EDI requirements. If you are in any way feel that you need some help and support because of any protected characteristics or any sort of disabilities or anything like that, you can speak to Innovate UK, speak to customer support service, or email them on that address, and they will work to give you the support that you need. So let's get into the application. So making your application, you are going to have a great executable idea, which is easy, not hard. It's hard to say and hard to do. Is this going to make a difference to your business? You need to have identified a market opportunity and how your idea is going to exploit that market opportunity. Then put the plan in place around that, which is going to demonstrate how that idea will be developed. How do you know this idea is going to be successful? What evidence do you exist? This is the point earlier about if it's a new idea, how will we know? There is going to be risk in this. I think that's understood. But you must also have done some evidence as well. Have you spoken? Have you got evidence that this market opportunity exists? For example, that could be conversations with customers, clients, with potential clients, missed opportunities which you can demonstrate in the past, and so on. It's got to be costed up properly as well. You can eligible costs include labour, overheads, materials, use of equipment. If you need to bring an expert in as a subcontractor, you can do that. If you need to do a go and see to get further evidence, then that can be funded as well. And as we get into the application form, these are the elements of the application form which we're now going to start really sort of digging into. There are eight sections to it. There are some of the obvious sort of details: the application location, the sector you belong to, the MFA declarations. There's a template which you need to download. Essential elements, and then the scoring. This is where it comes in. So the project will be scored out of 30. The idea itself, the impact and added value is going to be scored out of 30. The business planning and the resources that go into making this happen will be scored out of 20, and your project plan will be scored out of 20. For which now some of these you can supply your own appendices, but it's all inputted onto the platform on the website, which we've got a link to. So as you go through the application form, what's that application going to look like, and what do you need to have in place to help you understand what is going to make a successful application? So as you go through the application, the first thing you're going to ask for is around the project details. There is a question around subsidy basis, which means, are you affecting trade between Northern Ireland and the EU? So, you know, all this Northern Ireland protocol and everything. Is your idea going to affect that somehow? I suspect probably not in this context, but you never know. So you need also to think about the team. So have clearly identified who your people are. And this is where the EDI questionnaire will come in. So some time needs to be allocated to that. Then your project summary, 400 words. What they want to see is your vision for the project, your key objectives, what you're going to do, and how will that denote success. What are the main areas of the focus of this idea? How is it going to be innovative? There is then a public description. You need to be aware of this as well, which they will publish a summary of of your idea. So make sure that it's easy for a non-specialist to understand, and don't include anything which is confidential. You need to be aware of that. So as we move on to the application form scope, this is important. This, if you don't, this isn't scored, but it's like if you don't meet the criteria and the eligibility criteria of this program, your application will be disqualified, and it'll be. So this is important to make sure that you get this right. So make sure you've read the competition brief in full, understand the background, challenge and scope of the competition, and then articulate how this application addresses the research objectives in your application. And the research objectives are the brief, the eligibility criteria, that this is an innovative idea, that you are based locally, that there will be an impact. So you match your project's objectives and activity to that criteria. The application form will also ask about location, if at all, if you are at all uncertain about that you are in this area. Your registered business needs to be in the eligible area. You can double check that with this link there. The subsector, you need to make sure you've got 10 words to say which subsector you're in. I've given you the list of what they are, so make sure that you are in that sort of subsector. And then you will have to fill out the MFA and the de minimis, and there's a template on there to download, and you will need to sign a declaration which says we meet this criteria. The video. Talking about the video, you will need to create a video to describe or show your proposal. You're going to have to upload it to YouTube before the competition closes. You must give a link and a password to access your video as your answer to this question. The video can not be longer than 2 minutes. It must be unlisted in so I guess they will stop at 2 minutes and 1 second if you go on beyond that. Posted on a platform other than YouTube. If you can't upload to YouTube, contact that support address at least 10 working days before the competition closes for advice. It's not about the quality of the video, it's about the content. So it doesn't have to be a massive production. It just needs to say, this is the project, this is the idea, and this is what we're about. Moving on to the project description, this is where it starts to, the rubber really starts to hit the road. You need, this will be scored, and this is where you come up against, your idea really needs to meet these criteria. So what is the main motivation for this project? Why are you doing this? Why is it important for you to achieve this growth? Why this idea? Be clear about what the outputs of this are. What are the specific deliverables? What will the Create Growth Programme get for this investment? What is the journey that this investment will enable your business to go on? Are you planning to grow by 10%, by 50%? You know, what's the difference that this impact's really going to make? And link that back to the what deliverables come out of this program. Make sure you describe any previous technical and business planning work you've conducted in relation to your proposed project. So this might be an idea that's already, we've got a short time scale to get this application in, so creating something from new might be a challenge. Not to say you can't be done, but if you have already done work on this idea, that will strengthen your application. So describe that, because it starts to build a sense that you are serious about this. Then how are you going to protect and exploit the outputs of the project? will it lead to a patent, for example? What difference is it going to make to your business model? And you've only got 400 words to say all this, so you've got a lot to cover in this part of the application form. So it's out of 30. Make sure you nail those points. But before you start to do it, make sure you've actually, I think the important part is right now is thinking through what this project is. What is it? What is the difference is going to be? Why is it innovative? Why this fund and why not other types of funding? Why am I going for this now? Now, impact and added value. This is so what is the impact this fund is going to have on your business within the first 12 months? This is about clarity. Make sure it's projections, it's predictions. You need to have a firm basis for those projections and predictions. If they're in place and you can make sensible claims as a result of that for growth, for additional income, for new customers, this is where they want to see that. They are also interested in how this might position you to receive more investment later from that. We referenced the investor network that's Innovate UK of funding. How will this make you more investable? Will this be a new product which might require more investment in the future? Will it enable you as a creative business to take on investment which you haven't been able to take on in the past because you haven't had an investable proposition within your business? Why public money is necessary for your project? Is there a lack of private investment or market failure here? So this is an attempt to plug that market failure, but you need to be clear, like, look, okay, we haven't been able to identify suitable funding for this in the past. None of that funding does not exist right now, which is why we've gone for this this fund. And then this is a slightly vague thing. I've never been really clear about what they mean by this, but what is this going to mean for the East Midlands? How will you be developing new types of relationships? Will you be helping to raise the profile of the East Midlands? Will you be able to use this project to employ more staff, to think about that sort of wider impact? Be clear about your idea. Make sure that idea is very powerful and innovative and impactful. It's going to make a real difference. But also think about, okay, well, what does that mean for the sector around me, for the creative economy in the East Midlands? So those impacts could be on society, so the economy, environment, could be, creating more jobs, creating a more sustainable business. And if there are any negative impacts coming out of this, talk about them, but put some mitigation in there as well. And again, you've got 400 words to answer this, which is, like, rule of thumb, that's about a side of A4. So you've got a lot to cover in that. So thinking very clearly and precisely about your idea is going to be absolutely crucial. Next slide, next stage of the application form is your business planning and resources. It's scored out of 20. Who's in the team and what's your capability on delivering this solution? So you need to have worked out the details of this project. What resources, what kit do you need? Do you need to bring in expertise? Describe who's going to be involved in this again and why. What are they going to do? What are their roles? What are they responsible for? And why have you chosen them? What their track records are. So if they're within the business and within the team, that should be relatively straightforward. If you need to bring in an expert, an industry expert, to help you grow and devise this this new idea, why them? What is their track record? Can you do this within the time frame, given your existing business activities and constraints? You're already busy. You already run a business. but you've got, and now you're going to put this on top of your workload. Can you do this? You know, explain that. Explain. It might be that part of the funding is backfilling some time, backfilling. So be clear about that, and then talk about how you're going to continue to deliver outcomes and impact beyond the life of this project. So this needs to be, this is not a one-off project which will come along, do something and then disappear. This needs to last. The impact needs to be lasting. And the answer, again, 400 words, not a lot of space and time to explore that. Then project plan and risks, what you're going to do with the grant funding, how you're going to manage a project effectively. So again, so the two elements to this, one is, you know, a written response, your fund, how are you going to spend that cash flow, that project over the spend on over the life of the project? What are the main elements of the work packages? Again, who's assigned to each of those packages and the total cost of each package. Risks, dependencies, impact and mitigation strategy. So what risks exist and how are you going to manage that? And best value for money. Why have you made these types of decisions? What have you gone out of tender? Have you got more than 3 quotes or something like that? Have you actually tested the market for this? You can, and you must submit a risk register as an appendix. So it can be a PDF up to 1 A4 page long and no larger than 10 megabytes in size. And you can submit a project plan or Gantt chart as an appendix to support your answer. Details are there. So they do want to see a lot of detail on this, and you need to be prepared to put the work in to give them that detail. And the finances, this is, you have to input your the financial details onto the platform in the application form. So this isn't a question of just uploading a spreadsheet. It's like you have to put it in, and there are specific headings that you need to complete, which are labour, overhead costs, materials, capital items, usage. I'll come on to that. I'll come back to that. Subcontracting, travel and subsistence, and then other costs. So what you need to be really clear about what those other costs which fall outside of the those given headings. For capital, they are asking about the amount of usage. So if you, so for example, you buy a piece of kit for £10,000, that kit will have a life beyond this program. But you will be, what they want to do is only pay for the usage of that piece of kit. So if you can then say, look, this piece of kit's got a 3-year lifetime, it's going to cost £10,000. That means the depreciation on that is £3,000 a year. This is a 6-month program, so that's £1,500. It's that type of methodology, thinking that needs to go in. So talk to your accountant about how you might do that. So you need to be aware that a piece of, if you need to buy some capital, that is an asset that's going to stay with you, and they will help you with that, but you may not get everything that you get the full cost on that. We are now, that's the application form. I'm just going to talk about where you might be able to look for growth there. Then we can go into sort of making sure we answer all the questions and give you and make any clarifications. But if you don't have that idea for growth just yet, there are three sort of areas that you might want to think about. So think about, can you achieve step change in what you are currently delivering? So could your business expand its capacity to deliver existing services to new markets? So you are growing, you have identified new markets, and if you had this thing, this platform, this innovation, which will help you reach new audiences, that could have a step change in your growth and your so that's very much looking at existing markets and expanding from existing markets. But to reach new markets, you could take an asset and strength based approach. Can you develop your current strengths and assets to reach new markets? So actually, we haven't thought about, we can apply what we do in different ways to reach different markets. So this is thinking about what you're already good at, but applying it in different ways to service different markets. And another option is, could you work with a complementary business to create new markets with growth potential? If you can apply as a partnership with another business. What you need to do is one of those businesses needs to be the lead partner, but I think that I have no particular insight into this, but that to me would feel like a very strong application, an investable application, because that is clearly adding to the growth of the sector and helping to build the strength of the regional creative economy. So finally, there's the application link, which is the slides will be sent out to you. Deadline is 11 AM on February the 8th. I hope that gives you a good start. There is a lot to do here. There will be a second round later in the year, but we're not sure what that application will be. And hopefully some of the work that the partnership will be doing is will help you, if you can't make this bit funding route, help you continue to develop your growth ideas. So, any questions? Yes, there are, aren't there? Okay. Yes. Jonathan, is it Jonathan? You're on mute, Jonathan.
Yeah, sorry. What are the sort of challenges in it is where to put the application between 10 and 30,000. But we only to 10,000 or 15,000, or will you, if the application is for more than you think is appropriate, would you just simply reject it? You're on mute now, Keith.
My guess is that it's either it's funded or it's not funded. I think you should work on that basis.
Okay. Yeah, just to jump in there. Sorry, just getting feedback here. I think it's from your speakers, Keith, so that's why I muted you. Just following on from one of Stuart's points, which is sort of an answer to all of the questions, which is we're not the gatekeepers for this. So ultimately, we're staging this workshop as part of the first steps of our Create Growth programme, which we will be issuing more details on Monday. only businesses in this region and those other 5 regions can apply, but ultimately you're applying to Innovate UK, not to us. So we're interpreting, and we've done a lot of work. We've had specific conversation with Innovate UK Direct. We've been to the workshops that they've run previously about this, and we're interpreting that from there. And Keith's answer, I think, is certainly our interpretation of what they would say. They're not going to kind of issue parts of funding. They're either going to issue some or not. And it also follows on from one of the questions that was put in the chat about why we didn't do this workshop earlier. Yep, totally agree. We wanted to do it earlier, but unfortunately, the way that DCMS issued the funding, it was a relatively short timeline for us to work to. And that's the same for everyone in the country. So you're not at a disadvantage compared to other regions. And unfortunately, it is a short timeline. And Rachel's point, yeah, we mentioned the round 2 that is going to be happening later in the year. The only thing is that round 2 will be a different fund, as in it's the same money, but it will be funding different things. So don't expect that round 2 to be a direct replication of what this funding round is. It's likely that it's going to be for a different type of activity. So if you do think this is right for your project now, then I would absolutely urge you to apply for this now.
A question came from Jason about if you've developed and tested a small proof of concept, can you apply for help with full development and rollout? I would have thought that would be perfect. So absolutely, because you've already demonstrated able to, and you need further investment to make it real. Co-invest. There's a question came from Andy around what does co-invest means. I'm not sure what that question.
Yeah. Would you like me to take that one, Keith?
Yeah.
So I'll just mute you a second, just so I'm not echoing. Yeah, I was just typing an answer. That's about the second funding competition, and we don't know too much about that, so I don't want to speculate too much about that. But it's just the overall point that the second funding competition is different to this. It's not a repeat. We know it's around co-investment. It's something around matching, getting investors to work with businesses, and then perhaps Innovate UK adding to that pot to boost the confidence of the investor. But I don't know too much about it, so as I say, I don't want to speculate at the moment. We'll hear more later in the year, but it is scheduled for autumn.
There's a question come from Beth at DTE about CICs. Community interest companies are allowed to apply. Charities aren't. Sole traders aren't. The different if a charity has a trading arm, a trading subsidiary, lots of charities do, then the application could come from that trading arm. This is about business and business growth. So if that shared prosperity funding that you talked about, if that's about, I don't think it is, but if it is about supporting your business growth, then you wouldn't be eligible. I don't think it through that external public sector funding is all about business growth. So if you're any funding that you've had which isn't about business growth, that doesn't affect this scheme at all. Right, what are the questions? Any other questions coming through?
Project eligible? Do I know if my business is eligible? We've put down the definitions about what it says in the application about what makes an eligible project. Really, it's for you to interpret that at this stage. But you know, there are, I think the key words here are about innovation and growth. So ultimately, if it is something that's not business as usual, if it is something which can provide a growth platform for your business, then I would say apply. In terms of the eligibility of business, this is something that I know Stuart's been back and forth with Innovate UK about, because like Stuart said, there is an issue, particularly in the southeast region, where a lot of businesses border onto London. So their registered addresses are in London, but they're trading in the southeast area. the feedback we've had is that if you can show substantively that you are trading in that eligible area, but yet your business address is registered somewhere else in the UK, then you probably can apply. But it's one of those ones where if you're at all worried about that, I would ask Innovate UK specifically that question so that you don't waste your time, because it's a little bit of a, because this has been a relatively quick issue of a funding call. I think that's one they're trying to work out as they go along, if I'm being not too critical of them. Is that a fair comment, Stuart? Yes,
that's fair to say. Because the whole Create Growth funding is aimed at areas outside of London. The South East are a successful area, which is Essex and Kent, I believe, leading the bid. And there's lots of theirs that are registered with accountants in London, so it's a big issue for them. But obviously they have to make a decision, and it goes nationwide. So I think in that case, you're correct, Adam, in what you say, that if there is evidence that you are based in the East Midlands and you're working in the East Midlands, that should be okay. But make that clear, please.
Yeah, I agree with Design Crazy Lady, however. It's unfair that all trailers can't apply, but that is the key criteria, because what happens when you make the application is that when you input the name of your company, that will they will then use that, and that's connected to company's house, so that will then prove to them that you are a registered business and that you will you meet the eligibility. You are a registered business, and if you're on company's house, that you will you should be eligible there. I can't see any issues with that. Okay, have we covered everything there? Do we have any other questions?
Could I just make one more overall point, Keith?
Yeah.
Which it's again just repeating really what we've said in the chat and what Adam said, that when it comes to the main business support programme, we will have more capacity to make decisions locally. So we can look at more nuanced applications according to all this criteria that we've spoken about, especially the sectors if you're doing something particularly creative, but the headline sector isn't a creative industry and things like that. Organisations, so yeah, please speak to us when that happens at the next stage. I know we talk about the funding competition today, but what we're saying is that the Innovate UK criteria is their criteria. It's going to be similar to ours, but we have more flex and we're on the ground here to speak to people when that starts. Just wanted to emphasise that. Thanks, Keith.
Yeah, just adding to that, one of the reasons we were really keen to do this workshop, like we said, we're not the gatekeepers, we're not the ones making a decision on this, and yeah, I totally agree. You know, when we were doing a huge amount of research around creative industries back in 2018, one of the things that pretty much everyone knows about our sector is there is a huge amount of sole traders, freelancers, etc., who kind of get lost in a lot of these funding calls. So we agree they should be being funded, and certainly we would take that into account in terms of the things that we have direct control of. But the reason we wanted to do this was that Innovate UK know that they are currently not funding huge amounts of activity in the East Midlands. There are some recipients of Innovate UK funding, and some of the larger organisations particularly have received multiple Innovate UK funds, but actually per capita in the East Midlands is one of the lowest in the country. So we were really keen to make sure that we get as many applications in as possible from you businesses in this region, because we feel like there's a real opportunity here to start to account all of the criteria that we've talked about. You know, make your application exciting, make it relevant, all of those things that you would normally do with funding. But don't be put off by the fact that there are these other regions in there, because we're certainly making the case that actually, you know, more money needs to come into the East Midlands long term.
Simon, I've just put my email address in. If you email me straight after, because I think we are going to finish early, which is always good. And the details, Adam, Stuart, on getting access to Philomena and the other consultant? How do people do that?
Yeah, so that is something we'll follow up with people that have attended this event and others to give you the details of that. But we will have one-to-one slots available with Phil and Ellen, who have both been on this call at various points. Phil's here at the moment, towards the end of this month and the very start of next month, so that if there are very, very specific targeted questions, and Phil and Ellen are both very experienced in funding calls in general, just that nuance element of what you can put in your application to really make it zing, stand out, and also make sure it is completely on board with the criteria. But we're also very conscious that within creative industries, one of your most powerful tools is intellectual property, and sometimes, although we are collaborative by nature as people, we don't necessarily want to share all of our kind of best ideas, our best IP in group forums. So that's why we've set up those one-to-ones, but we'll follow up and communicate that out with people in terms of the exact dates and how they can book onto that after this session.
Brilliant, thank you, Adam. So if there's no more questions, slides will be distributed. There will be a recording of this meeting will be available, and hopefully it's not clear what the minimum length of time a business needs to be operating to be eligible. To be honest, we perhaps need to. That question has been asked in another forum, and it says I think the key to that is you are registered, you have been trading. What is the growth that you want to achieve as a result of that? So you should be able to, even if you are relatively new, you should still be able to benefit from this application. And in fact, I personally, I have no authority in this, would argue that actually that's a really good time to help sort of support a growth of a business. Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you for your time, and hopefully you will pull together some amazing applications, and I really look forward to see what comes out of this, because I think we're embarked on a new phase of the creative industries journey here, which has been I used to be on board a creative industries network a long time ago, and this is an important part of the sector. Of the local economy, which needs support. We do not punch our weight. We have great talent, great resources. Let's get some a difference in the economy, so we can really retain the huge talent that already at our universities and so on. So, good luck, everybody, and thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, Narimi.